Hi everyone, it's Ali. I hope you're having a great day. In this video I'm going to show you how to use Crayola markers to watercolour, and I'm using some Altenew stamps. And this card was totally inspired by a YouTube video by Tiffany Salorio. I'm going to start using some Distress watercolour cardstock from Tim Holtz. I like this cardstock, it's quite white and doesn't have that creamy colour sometimes that watercolour cardstock does. I'm just using the Altenew flower from the Remember This stamp set and the leaf, and I'm stamping it in a white pigment ink, a Hero Arts pigment ink, onto that watercolour cardstock. And then I'm using white embossing powder, sprinkling that on, and I'm going to emboss that with my heat tool. I've done 3 of the outline flowers and 3 of the outline leaves. And just going to melt that with my heat tool until it's fully melted. And then I'm going to get my Crayola marker. This is a fine line marker, but you can use any Crayola markers. They're all water-based, so they all work as watercolours do. And for the first flower, I'm using a technique where I'm going to go petal by petal, and I take some colour off the marker and lay the darkest colour down where the shadow is on the petal, and then bring that colour out using my Aquash brush or my watercolour brush, and just moving the colour around on the petal so that it's darker in the shadows and lighter on the edges. And then I just continue around, add colour, adding darker shades here and there until I've completed that flower. Just adding in those last of the dark little parts and finishing it off. For the second flower, I decided to do a different technique, and that was to cover the flower first with a light sort of level of colour and water, and then go in and fill in darker spots where the shadows lay. And that worked well as well. I think that I preferred that over the first option. And then the third option, I actually did a bit of a light colouring over the flower again, but then I used the pen directly on the paper to add in the darker spots. Now this wasn't as effective. It did mean that the paper pilled a little bit. There was some pilling of the paper where I put the pen directly to the paper, and so that was a little bit difficult, but the colours did blend out in the end just as well. Then I was going into just a normal grey Crayola marker, and I coloured the leaves with that. Just the one colour of marker, and just going in and adding darker parts of the leaves where I wanted them darker. And I also did the middle of the flowers with this grey as well. And once I was happy with the depth of colour, then I am going to cut those out. And for this set I do have the dies, so I use the dies for this set to cut out the flowers, just running them through my Big Shot. And I just did that for all 3 flowers and 3 sets of leaves. And then I have another piece of watercolour paper, and I'm just deciding where I want my flowers positioned on that paper, and then just tucking my leaves in behind as well. And then I have just bought some Glad press and seal plastic, which I'm going to use to reposition all my flowers, and I'll show you how to do that. Now I decided I didn't have enough leaves behind the flowers, so I'm just getting out that extra set of leaves, and there's the Glad press and seal. You only need a small piece and you can reuse it. So now that I've got all my flowers in position, I can push the Glad press and seal down onto the flowers, and when you press it, it actually sticks, so that it sticks to all of the flowers, keeps them in position, and then you can use that to stamp the other leaves behind it. So I'm using a Brilliance, I think it's a lightning black ink. Put my flowers on to see where I would like them to go, and then I hold my leaf over where I think I'd like that, and then press down, remove the other flowers and then press down. I just continue doing that with my leaves to get them to sit behind the flowers and leaves. And the Glad Press, this is only one of the uses for the Glad Press and Seal. It's really quite handy stuff. So I'm looking forward to using it for a few more different techniques. And once I've done all those leaves, I then decided I was going to colour them a little bit with my grey Crayola texture again. So I just went over those, and again the darker sections are towards the middle of the leaf, and then brought the colour out with my watercolour pen. And now I'm ready to put my flowers on. I want that front flower at the very front to be popped up, so I'm going to take that off so that I don't stick it down. I can just keep all of those flowers and leaves in place where they are, put glue on the back of them or adhesive on the back of them, and then I just use my Glad Press and Seal to push them down onto my paper. And they're all in the correct position, and then just gently peel away the Glad Press and Seal. And you can use those pieces of Glad Press and Seal a number of times, which is really handy. Then I'm just going to pop up this flower with a bit of 3D foam. Position that one. And now I just wanted to add some sparkle. So I just want to cover over my flowers because I don't want my drops of liquid going on too much of the flower or the leaves. I'm not too fussed about it, so I didn't cut out a specific mask, and I'm just using my shimmer spritz and using the tube from that to drop some droplets onto the page so they get some little droplets of sparkle. Now I'm going to put my sentiment on, and I'm using an W+9 thank you set of stamps and the dies, and this one says thinking of, and then the die is you. So I've die cut that out of matte silver card, and I'm just going to stamp the thank you with my misti in that same Brilliance ink pad. So now that's all stamped, the thinking of you, or the thinking of, and then I'm going to use my multimedia matte glue just to stick the U die cut onto the page. I just gently press that down so it's secure. And then I just need to attach this panel to the front of a card. And I think my card was about 13 by 13, and I'm going to just do that with double-sided tape. Stick that onto the front of my card. So that's it for the card. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you can give my video a thumbs up and leave a comment too. That would be great. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.